It took us 2 months to bring our narrowboat home, to London. And now that we're here, we don't actually have a plan about what we're going to do next. But for a few days at least, we live in Paddington Basin. Objectively, a very odd place to live, and we're planning to take full advantage of it. Waking up on our first morning in Paddington, surrounded by skyscrapers, people going to work, and tiny boats careering around very erratically, was just as surreal the next morning. And we were very excited to check out our new neighbourhood on this stunning British summer's day. But in a classically me chaotic fashion, things weren't quite so simple. So it's day 2 in lovely Paddington Basin. It's Sunday, it's thunder and lightning. Thunder. I was thinking, oh, we'll have a lovely day. Oh, I should close this flap. Sorry, 1 second. Oh my God, there's water everywhere. Okay. So, I was thinking, lovely day out in London. I was like, maybe we'll get a coffee, I wanted to get an almond croissant, but maybe walk down to like Hyde Park or something, just have a really chill, nice day. And just before we did that, we thought we'd run the engine a bit because it's a little bit dark and stormy apparently. So I went to go and run the engine a bit to get the power up a bit, get the batteries charged up. And then I couldn't find the engine key. So we don't know where the engine key is, the long and short of it is. When we were leaving yesterday, we just took it out of the engine because we were just locking the boat up.
So exactly what happened, we're just here. So we were going out and the key...
We accidentally left the key in
within
the engine,
which was a fail. So I saw it just before we went out. And I said...
We don't do that often.
I said, hey, are you forgetting anything? In a jokey voice.
It's because it was all a bit frantic because we had to move the boat and stuff. So I pulled the engine key out and I stuck it in my bag, we think,
because
as we were
that's
leaving.
Abnormal for us because normally
we'd leave it on the boat. This was just like one big key on it, and then I had this one. So there's 2 big lumpy things in my bag, and I also had my camera in there. And then we just left. We went to the shop. We went and had like a little walk around, and I got my camera out a couple of times. We came back. I used these keys to let us back in. And then we didn't think anything else of it. So, either the keys are somewhere in here and I absent-mindedly put the engine key down somewhere weird where we don't normally put them, or I dropped the engine key somewhere in Paddington last night.
I'm hoping it's in here. So we're going to do a search through the boat and see what we can find.
This was not what I wanted to do with my lovely stay in Paddington. Also, about half an hour ago before this transpired, it was really sunny. And now it's absolutely bucketing it down with rain and it's gone pitch black. And we have like not a lot of solar, well, we have no solar left and we have not like 30% on our batteries.
So I've turned the inverter off because that will massively improve the battery life. Also, we keep getting hit by go-boats.
We've been hit by a few go-boats, but now they'll stop probably because it's absolutely pissing it down. If we can't find it, apparently you can't get a locksmith to make you one. You have to get it from the company, from Beta Marine. So that's perfect because it's a Sunday, so obviously we can't even call them today. So I'm going to hope that I just like reach down into like a pocket I didn't know existed and be like, oh, here it is.
Let's have a look.
I put them in like a secret inside pocket of my coat. It's like this inside pocket, not the normal pocket. We literally just turned the entire boat upside down. Just before this, I was looking in the bin. I was rooting around in the bin just in case like someone in case I absent-mindedly put it in the bin or something. I looked everywhere. I'd just been looking in like the weirdest places. It's in my pocket.
key dramas resolved.
The day is back on track and it stopped raining and now it's actually sunny for a bit, so I'm gonna go out, a little mooch, walk around.
The boat that's on our mooring is still there.
It's still there. If you remember our arrival here, we actually pre-booked a pontoon mooring on the other side of the basin. When we got there, there was another boat already on our spot and they were out. So we couldn't moor there and we had a tiny panic before we realised that we could moor in the spot that we're in now, on the other side of the basin. It wasn't very obvious that it was moorable space, but once we scooched over to the other side, we realised that it was, so it was actually fine.
Christina sat all night by her phone. She was like, CRT
I was like,
will ring.
That's my phone.
She barely
I
slept
with
a
it
wink.
next to my head, you know, like this. I was like, any minute now the CRT will ring. I look over. No missed calls. No calls at all. CRT has not rung. We'll see if the CRT will ring tomorrow, I dare say. Because you can see that the other spots have been booked. The other long one. So 2 boats showed up this morning and went on them. But the boat in our spot remains there. I mean, I'm not the police. I don't care what they do.
As we say, not issue with them.
Yeah.
Issue with not being contacted.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, don't want to make too much of a drama
I mean,
out of this.
there are
Yeah.
plenty of visitor moorings here. Let us just point out how wildly underused these all are because no one is here, so it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I think ultimately they're just overpriced because people don't want to pay 25 quid. And I think a year ago, when they were only 15, it used to be really busy here, so that's just my opinion. Let's go for a mooch. You coming? On the ground floor around the edges of the basin, there are bars and restaurants and cafes, and there are some boat restaurants as well, of course. Higher up, most of the buildings are commercial. One of the biggest buildings is the M&S headquarters, and there are some co-working spaces, and the side that we're moored on is the back of St Mary's Hospital, so it's a big mix. There are some flats and a few long-term boat moorings here, but it doesn't feel very residential at all. And unlike somewhere like King's Cross, I'm not sure that it's ever taken off as a destination for people to congregate either. It feels like it's mostly either tourists or people that work here. Maybe it's that, at its heart, it's a giant train station. But then so is King's Cross. Talking of the train station, I was convinced that I'd never been to Paddington Station in my life. Oh, this is Paddington.
Oh, I've been to Paddington loads.
I've not. But then we went to look at it and that was clearly not the case.
See, now it's come back to you.
It's come back to me. I've had a lot of overpriced bagels here. Hungover.
Literally.
Oh, yeah. It's come right back to me. I keep wanting to say something like, Paddington Station was famously named after Paddington Bear, when of course it was the other way around. But the bear is very present around here, and there are effigies of him everywhere. Velvet.
I think so. Oh, I don't know actually.
I'm sure he used to just be painted. Now he's all velvety. How cute. And of course, one of the greatest films of all time, Paddington 2, was partly filmed on location around Paddington Station and Little Venice, so this is a site of enormous cultural importance. Just outside the basin is Browning's Pool, named after the Victorian poet Robert Browning, who lived nearby. He's often credited with christening this area with the name Little Venice. Until then, it had been commonly known as London's Venice, though apparently Lord Byron was already on the record as calling it Little Venice, but I'm not getting involved. Before the 1800s, Paddington wasn't even in London. It was a little village on the outskirts. Can you imagine? The architect John Nash, who's done some minor projects like Buckingham Palace, was tasked with overseeing the canal build as part of the development of the whole area. In the olden days, this was a major hub of industry. Boats would be going between London and the Midlands and carrying cargo, and it's really wide and roomy so the boats could turn around easily. These days, it's mostly used by trip boats, which shuttle very fast between here and Camden. And they make a really tidy job of turning around, which really makes you want to give it a go yourself. But I'm sure my attempt wouldn't be half as elegant. This triangular junction is the meeting point of the Paddington arm of the Grand Union, where we came from, Paddington Basin, and the Regent's Canal, where we might head next if we continue our journey into central London. On foot, though, we veered left towards Little Venice. We wanted to check out the pump out there, which, But also, when we cruised past the previous day, we saw this boat, which we thought might be the very first boat we went to look at before we bought our boat. We walked back to see the boat that we saw yesterday, that we thought was the boat that we first looked at, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so when we actually looked, Chris looked at thousands of boats online, and we sort of narrowed it down. And
we went to look at one.
For some reason, we really liked this one. But then when I saw it, I thought it wasn't for me.
It wasn't right for us. It wasn't big enough. But yeah, it's really weird that it's here because we recognised it straight away and then we were like, is that it? But yeah.
How long was Puffin? Was it a 50?
I think it was 50 something. It's quite a bit shorter than our boat.
Yeah,
that was one of the issues.
That would have been...
It's a trad. So although it was...
You lose a lot of space.
You lose even more. There was like a whole engine room. So it wasn't big enough because we both knew that we wanted more space and space to work as well.
I mean, that was really one of my primary kind of things. It's like
we wouldn't have been able to have...
We needed our own
space.
rooms.
Yeah.
Because it's like we work on different projects together, apart, different things. And you need space.
Yeah.
You need space if you're going to
It's
live
really
on a boat
nice to
full
see
time.
it out here in London.
It's beautiful. I'd love
we went to see it. I think we went on the Lee. At that time, I didn't know what that meant or where it was. We had to get a train to wherever to get it. But it's nice to see it here in Little Venice.
I would love to see the new owners and see what they think of it.
It was a shame that we couldn't catch the owners to talk to them, but it's kind of funny that we ended up in the exact same place at the same time.
Fill us in.
We've just got a Too Good To Go surprise bag.
Christina became hungry.
I became hungry, okay? I became peckish. So we decided to pick up a pastries bag.
Because you wanted an almond croissant all day.
I wanted an almond croissant.
So...
How do people now call them croissant?
Croissant?
Croissant. So we're going to go and pick up the pastry bag. It's in Westbourne Grove, which is a short walk. Then we might loop round to Notting Hill, because we probably should have gone to the market, but we didn't, because we were faffing about looking for keys. But we'll go for a wander around there. Yeah, that's the plan. Croissant.
Croissant.
It's like trying to make, no, you're still making it sound too proper.
That's what you wanted.
Exactly what I wanted.
The hanger has been quite strong. It only took 15 minutes, but there's been quite a lot of hanger in the room.
I disagree. When we returned, we found that the boat on our original mooring was occupied, so we went over to give them a piece of our minds. But unfortunately, they were lovely, so instead of fisticuffs, we ended up having a really good chat.
Hello, hello.
We've found the people who are on our mooring.
Yes, it was us.
Guilty as charged.
We're so sorry.
But it's all okay. We've had a lovely long chat.
We have.
And your engine's maybe recovering.
We think it's all right. It's been overheating basically. So every time we turn it on, it ends up going sort of over 100 degrees. So we're needing to let it cool down. We're going to see it's running all right now. So if it works out, we're going to head off in the morning.
And you're heading the same direction as
We
us.
are. We might see you there.
This is the second take with the engine, so hopefully.
Yeah, fingers
so far
crossed.
it's been okay. So.
But it's quite funny because we used to watch your guys' videos when we were thinking about buying this boat, and we'd sort of sit there in our flat drinking our coffee, and I put a video on, and we'd be watching it. And I was like, look how idyllic it looks. Look what a dreamy life it could be. And then here we are stealing your mooring. So it's come full circle.
But hey, like I say, it's been a pleasure to meet you.
And you
hopefully
guys.
we'll see you tomorrow in Camden.
Yeah, we'll
Brilliant.
see you around.
Excellent.
We're very used to walking all over the place, and it was really cool to be staying within walking distance of central London. After some time away, it was really nice just to walk around and soak it all in. Even on a Sunday evening, there's always something going on.
It's 3 a.m. in the morning, and Christina's been watching this coot for a little while.
It's just been here since we've got here. I noticed that it was there, and I was like, oh, there's a little coot there under the bridge. But it's been here the whole time. Like it doesn't move off. It doesn't go anywhere. It's a bit weird at this point. 'Cause it's just.
So I
standing
thought he
there.
might be here to rob our boat, and he's just waiting for us to go to sleep. And he's like, "Why are you guys still up at 3 a.m?"
Ooh, I think it might be our guardian angel coot.
See, that's a positive way of looking
Yeah.
at things.
I do think it's a bit weird because, like, presumably this coot has to eat and, you know, do personal self-care, but it hasn't moved. It's just stood there under this bridge.
Because my other theory is it's a security coot.
Yeah, that seemed more valid.
So he's just employed by the Paddington Basin
Yeah.
to look after everything. And he's probably just watching our boat being like, they're on the wrong mooring.
Yeah, exactly. But he must have, he or she, we don't know.
Of course they.
They must have like a, I was going to say home mooring. It's a coot. I don't know, like what's up? What's up with it? There's something just quite solitary and poignant about it being alone. The next morning, I went off on a solo outing to take advantage of our central London location and do a couple of my favourite central London things. My first stop was Daunt Books in Marylebone. Daunt is a small chain of bookshops specialising in travel. They sell travel books and guides, but they also stock literature, fiction, all organised by country. It's a different way to browse, and I often find something here that wasn't even on my radar. This was the first Daunt shop that they opened in 1990, but this building was actually originally built specifically as a bookshop in around 1910. The main room has this incredible glass ceiling and all the mahogany wood and the bookshelves just wrapping all around. London has tons of beautiful bookshops, but this one is quite famous for a reason. And the staff are so nice here, it's just a good vibe. The perfect place to hide out from the rain for a little while. I picked up some lunch, I got some sushi, and headed to the Wallace Collection, which is, in my opinion, still the most underrated museum in London. It has become busy over the years. You used to be able to come here and walk from room to room completely alone, and there wasn't another soul around. But I'm not here to gatekeep. The Wallace Collection slaps, and I will continue going on about it until everyone's been here. They have a world-class art collection and innumerable incredible fancy objects, and it's presented in this stunning house. It's called a house museum. So the setting is part of it. The colours, the patterns, the gold leaf, chandeliers. Everything is so ornate, but it's really quiet and peaceful. I just love coming here. And it's free. You can come here anytime for free, as many times as you like. Just pop in. It's basically behind Oxford Street. So you can escape the madness and just casually pop in to see a Rembrandt. One of the highlights of the collection, and my personal highlight always, the iconic, the much replicated, imitated and parodied The Swing by Fragonard. She was actually removed for restoration for a while, and she's back and looking better than ever. I genuinely pop in here just to see this one painting sometimes. My other favourite painting here is The Dead Mouse. Just marvellous. Love it. I also love miniatures, all tiny things really, but I love portrait miniatures. They've got tons of them here. Some of them need to be protected from light, so they have these special cases that you have to uncover and kind of peer under, and it makes it even more special. I just love it. Back out into the drizzle, I picked up a coffee. Making these videos really makes me realise how much of my life revolves around making coffees or picking up coffees. Is life just making coffee after coffee until you die? Anyway, I headed back to the boat to meet up with Andrew and continue our day touristing around together. This time we followed the canal from Little Venice down the branch on the Regent's Canal. A little preview of what would come next. I mentioned before that we didn't have a plan and we weren't sure if we would continue further into London. We thought it would become clearer once we got here and, I don't know, we were still kind of neither here nor there. We had a friend's wedding coming up, we'd be staying away for the night and Rosemary, Andrew's mum, would be coming to cat-sit Matilda, so we wanted to make sure we were somewhere that felt safe for her and was also easily accessible. We really wanted to continue going further into London, especially because the next bit is like the coolest bit. You go through the zoo, you go through Camden, it's where we used to live. We were really excited. But we were also like, what happens if we do all that and then we can't find a mooring and we end up somewhere really sketchy and have to leave poor Rosemary there? So we were walking around with intent. We were eyeing up potential moorings, monitoring the situation. It would have actually been perfect to stay in Paddington for another few days, and I thought I could tack on another couple of days to our booking, but there was actually some kind of Kafkaesque administrative nightmare where you could only book for 7 days at a time, but once you were in a booking, you couldn't make another booking, even if your booking was less than 7 days. We stopped for a drink and to get out of the perpetual rain, somewhere near Baker Street. Everything is obviously Sherlock Holmes themed around here, very high on the novelty pub scale, but fine for one. And then we headed back to the boat for some dinner. What you making?
Burgers. Wagyu burgers.
That's right.
After a long day in Paddington, it's Wagyu burger time.
I kept seeing burgers today, and then I wanted burgers because I'm easily influenced.
Charming sounds.
Looks so good.
Made them quite dirty. Guys, these chips don't even look that dark.
I think they're supposed to be like a fluffy chip, you know? There comes a time in every chip's life when you just have to be taken out of the oven and eaten, and that's that.
Door on the side.
It's got a side!
Yeah.
This feels like it should be so expensive to go in Paddington to eat it.
So what we've learned from our time in Paddington is there is incredible security here. So as you can see, over here there's a security guard with his umbrella. And Christine has realised that they actually employ security coots.
They do the real work.
You can see under the bridge first when we were here, there was one security coot. And then a second security coot appeared.
They stay there all night. I've never felt safer. Oh, and I did eventually hear back from the CRT. About 2 weeks later, they sent me an email and they refunded the whole booking for us. So fair play, it turned out to be free. I would have been happy to pay to stay a few days longer on the other side, but the system didn't allow for that. And by that point, we were long gone. But it all worked out well, so all good. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you soon with the next part of our London story.
So the plan is we're going to go through Camden. We're going to try and find a mooring spot.
Like real London boaters.
Exactly.